We will make this quick. Did you catch the Robbie
Yeah,
Topi match this weekend?
I sure did. I did. We're live, buddy. We're live.
Oh, what's up,
Well,
everybody?
let's
How
get
y'all
into it.
doing?
Let's go right into it, man. Right into it. We'll see how many people we get jumping in here. Jay Clean's already in there.
What's up, Jay?
Yeah.
So, let's get things started. This is the week of IFA Worlds. This is the week of King of the Table. So let's jump right into that, shall we?
We definitely should. Yeah.
Do we
Where do you want
know?
to start?
Well, the King of the Table matches. Do we know what hand? Because that makes a difference as far as this format lays out.
I hate to be critical, but they don't do a very good job of actually saying what hand it is and all that stuff. But, I have to think that the only one that would be a left-handed match might be Khaled.
Because he's pulling Bowen and Schoolboy the same day.
Okay. So we're going off more than just the poster here.
Right. He's pulling Schoolboy, he's pulling Bowen. And, a lot of it depends on, I would imagine Khaled's pulling Schoolboy first, which, is fresh for fresh. I think Schoolboy will take that. But then Ryan, and I don't want to sound bad, but then Bowen kind of sneaks in and goes, "Hey, I'll pull you too." It's like going, dude, if it's the same hand, like what the fuck, At least Zurab pulls one each hand. So that's one thing,
Yeah. So there's a bunch more matches that are on this poster by the sounds of it. So it looks like David Dadikian versus Morozov is a left-handed match. That should be interesting. Morozov kind of is the guy that's everyone's got their eye on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nope.
I mean,
don't forget Irakli and Lachlan Adair.
Irakli and Adair, yeah, that's on the poster. Irakli and Adair is on the poster, and we got, of course, Chafee and Laletin on the poster. So there's only 6 guys on this poster I found, and yeah, apparently they got a bunch more matches that we don't know about. So unless you really do your research on this, you got to really pay attention. There's nowhere. My wish is that these promotions would just put out a list, put out the real poster with everything that we can look for,
What I've noticed, and if you compare the two between East vs. West and King of the Table, one does a lot more better job at marketing, I guess you could say, than the other. Aside from having all the faces that are involved on the actual, poster, they do live shows. Like, Ozzy would do a live show. Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that. It's just I don't know. They don't push the product for us King of the Table. I don't know why. And oh yeah, by the way, this match has been added. It's kind of like, oh, okay, like it doesn't matter, but it's important to everybody,
Yeah. And then we got this. You want to talk first about that Irakli match? Because
yes, let's do that.
This is the weird match and the only reason I say it's weird is because this is the one where Irakli was sort of not wanting to pull Matt Mask because he's coming off of a loss. So he says Matt's got to pull the guy he's pulling.
Why are we ducking people?
But then he says he takes a match with the guy that guy beat.
Yes.
So he's also taking a guy coming off of a loss. A couple of them.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah. So, but it's yeah. So Lachlan gets himself on the poster against Irakli. It should be I don't know if this match will even be close, to be honest with you. If I hope can slow it down, then yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, I follow a lot of these guys on Instagram, but I see Adair really putting some work in. So I mean, he's dedicated. He's putting the work in, and hey, what can I say? I hope he comes out just to sit there and prove and put in his face, because that's kind of messed up the way Irakli went about this. Thought that was like, hey, I thought we were here in the sport to compete, not to sit there and pick and choose. I don't want to pull you because A, B, C, but I'll pull you because of X, Y, and Z. And that whole thing is just weird to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then he refused just because Matt, he doesn't like how he carries himself or whatever, and then says he hasn't earned it, but then gives one to Lachlan. So it's odd. It's odd. I think Sanders and Matt is a good match. Entertaining match, will be a great one to see. Now back to this one though. I mean, I don't see this being any more than a one-sided destruction, to be honest with you.
Well, I hope it's closer than the experts think, because I know. Let me start over. Anytime an arm wrestler is pushed to the brink or their back's against the wall, something comes out. How long and how often has all of us talked about all the Australian pullers? Like, okay, yeah, you're that big fish in a small pond in that country, and you're kind of on an island to yourself. And yet, when you come up for the big events, you guys don't do what you need to do. It's lost on a big stage.
Yeah.
Bowen got swept by freaking Coach Ray, but he made for it onwards. But like here we are again, and we'll use Adair. Does he really need this win as much, right, as Irakli does?
No, I'd say that probably Lachlan's got nothing to lose in this match, to be honest with you.
And those are the most dangerous pullers.
They definitely are. I mean, if Lachlan wins, that will be considered a huge upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we know that Matt has earned the right to be where he's at. These are the words of Irakli himself saying he hasn't earned the match with him. So I agree. But I also like Sanders a lot better for Matt.
Yeah, from a matchup standpoint.
If he beats Sanders, Irakli has to be next.
Well, he can't duck then, I tell you that. He cannot duck then, And
it probably is a better path for Matt to work his way, level by level up to that instead of just going from the match that he had to jumping up 5 levels.
Right.
And yeah. I don't know, man. Khaled, you want to talk about that one?
Yes. The Cameroon, because and my ancestors are from Cameroon, by the way. So yes, I have a valid interest in this. But I will say this. I've done my research. I saw, here are my notes right here, by the way. When Khaled pulled Schoolboy left-handed in November of 2020, right? They had some kind of, super match thing. It wasn't real major. It was just like a practice and just to see what was going on. It was more to see how Khaled does against top-notch arm wrestlers. So, folks, first and foremost, he is an MMA fighter, grip strength guy, enthusiast, whatever. That's his thing. Arm wrestler's probably third on the list, okay? They pulled right-handed in October, and we saw where, Khaled kind of busted his wrist back a couple times. And I know when you're a real dedicated puller and that happens to you, it bothers you. So you got to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to train hard. And yes, people kind of, crap on Khaled saying he's arrogant, this, that, and the other. And, all because he made a video saying, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to send you back to school, that kind of stuff. And for some reason that bothered people. I don't know why, because, to be in this sport, you got to realize it's a one-on-one deal. And there are some people who feel like, he's cocky and arrogant. At some point, you got to have some kind of ego or something like that in the sport if you plan on winning, So I don't know why people are saying that, but I do think that Schoolboy is super duper motivated this time around because now it counts. What's your thoughts?
Well, my biggest thought on this match is, and Jay Clean kind of says it here, why do we keep bringing Khaled in? No disrespect. Why don't we give an actual arm wrestler chances over a guy that doesn't really care? That's the issue. He's naturally gifted, but he doesn't care.
Right.
And I don't think he cares enough to get better. Whereas Schoolboy, has been training for this particular match. Mm-hmm. And I think he will come in and put this thing to sleep. And maybe stop booking a guy that advertises openly that he doesn't give a shit. Like he doesn't, if he's not into arm wrestling, quit bringing him back and putting him in arm wrestling matches. If you're watching a fight, an MMA fight, the last thing you want to see is a guy in there that doesn't want to be there.
Oh, yeah. It's a slap to the face to the fans. It's a slap in the face to the organization, promoter, what have you. Now, we'll say this, though. It's why is it that, here's Irakli, right? No, I don't want to pull Mask because I don't like the way he does this, so and so and so. But yet, how come Schoolboy's like, he could have just said the same thing? I don't want to pull a guy who doesn't care. He could have easily said that. And if Schoolboy wins, which I think he should and probably will, what does it do for him? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. Right?
Marco, good pay for him. Makes sense for him to take it. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what we want to see as fans. And I don't care to see somebody that doesn't want to be there. I understand that he's taking a payday. So, but I don't want to watch it.
I want to see Khaled when it comes to grip sports. That's what I'm excited for when it comes to Khaled, okay? I want everybody to understand it out there. When it comes to grip stuff, that's when I get excited about Khaled, right? So, but I don't want to see, like you said, Ryan, you don't want to see him in Schoolboy. And you're damned, I don't know. Do you have the same feeling when you enter Ryan Bowen in the fray? Because it's like going, really? Are they trying to tag team to get this guy out of the sport and make sure, hey, guess what? This sport is for people who care about it. So Schoolboy's going to whack you, and I'm going to whack you, and then you can go ahead and do your grip stuff. I don't know what the thought process is behind that.
I don't know what it is. I mean, why do they keep bringing him back? Does he have such a fan following? I don't think so.
Dude, it's just so. Okay, so here, I'll go further. You're a part of the WAL, right? The Super Series. Why did they keep? Why are you bringing people like what's that? Juji Mufu. Why did they bring him here?
Massive online following.
Again,
Khaled doesn't have that.
Right. But again, are you taking away a spot for a particular puller who probably could make a match? Nobody wants to see Juju Mufu against Mike Ayala. Nobody wants to see that. No. I didn't. I thought it was a wasted time.
Nobody wanted to see it, and I particularly did not want to see it when Mike threw a match to him.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, going, now
you're fucking back to our podcast with Mike Ayala a long time ago. I think it was me and Gabi. Mm-hmm. And he admits that he threw one to Juji, which anybody in the know knows that that's exactly what happened. And they asked him to do it. If you're up, you're comfortable, throw one to him. Okay.
And it throws a sport back. If it throws a sport back, it's like going, oh, okay, well, how many more of these matches are staged? Because then all of a sudden people start looking for that. I haven't heard whispers about the Devin Larratt Bortolato match, Wagner. That Devin might have threw one to him. It's like, really? Come on, man.
I mean, let's be honest. Devin could have swept that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I mean, whether he got himself into a bad position, couldn't pull out of it. But if he had just tried a little bit harder to maintain his own aggressiveness in position, he could have. Does it count as throwing it or testing out his strong parts? I mean, there's an argument there. But I mean, I don't think there's any position Juji Mufu could actually pin Mike Aiello in.
You got to be careful when you start with the cross sports. You got to be careful, because you got to be careful because, yes. What's that?
This is the debate we have all the time. And, Larry Wheels qualifies, but Larry Wheels seems to be taking, like, he's got the massive following, but also seems to be trying to get better at arm wrestling.
I still think, and I said this before on the show, that he needs some tournaments.
Yeah. Jay actually mentions he's got a lot of subs. Yes, for sure. Understands why I brought him over. Not sure they matched up against Aiello. I know why they matched him up against Aiello. Aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Two guys that are huge and jacked and have big followings.
It's all about the look, people. It's all about the look, Seriously, I mean, it's all about the look. I mean, but not everybody needs to look like that, like those guys, to be an arm wrestler. No, you don't have to look like that. But for an audience, especially that audience, who knows, not all of them. So let me get this straight. Not all of them, but for a big chunk of them who know little to nothing about arm wrestling, they want the bigger guys, the guys with the big bulging biceps and shoulders and all that kind of stuff, and the tan or whatever. They want to see that kind of stuff. Who's the strongest?
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now. I mean, look at Levon, strongest person out there, dominant, but he doesn't look like he belongs on a Wheaties box, does he? No, he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
then we got the intriguing matchup here that I think we should get into and dissect a little bit. Vitaly Leletsyn versus Dave Chafee.
This match is so intriguing because let's talk with Vitaly first, because we haven't seen him in a super match format since when?
Wow. It's been a while. He's pulled a couple tournaments, and while he lost to Dmitry Salayev, he came back and beat Dmitry Salayev, but then lost to that other guy.
Yeah.
So he did not win that tournament either, which is interesting.
And I'm going to go ahead and hop on the political thing for a second, because that you'll see how it ties into this. So when Russia invaded, Ukraine, all that kind of stuff, not a lot of people were traveling to compete. So Vitaly was kind of stuck in a bubble there. And whatever tournament happened there. So he competed, fine, whatever. But at the same time, you kind of go, okay, we want to know where you stand. Because prior to all that, we all thought the next guy to take out Levon would have been Vitaly, right? Yeah. We all talked about that for, months and months. And, while he's on the sideline waiting and watching, we saw Dave Chafee couldn't get the job done. We saw Devin couldn't get the job done. So, and I guess now the winner of this, KOTT match with Hermes is going to be the next in line, apparently. I don't know. But I do say this, though. If Vitaly happens to win this match, does that catapult him up to where we see maybe a KOTT versus Vitaly match?
Possibly. Possibly.
Right,
Or you see something, well, you know what I think is going to happen? I actually think Dave Chafee is going to win this match.
Here's my notes right here. You want me to read them?
Yeah.
So let's recap. Dave Chafee, right? Okay. Is it my imagination, or does Dave Chafee always seems to do good in King of the Table, but not so much East versus West?
That's interesting. I've never considered that.
East versus West, number 3 in April. I'm sorry, King of the Table 3 in April. He beat Krdeka 5-1. Cool. He's on there. But when it comes to East versus West, he lost to Gennady 3-2. He lost to Morozov 3-2. And it's like, okay. And those are the last couple events Dave was pulled. And remember, Dave was up 2-0 in both those matches, but lost the last 3. And then we all talk about his stamina. Hey, Dave's conditioning. What's he doing wrong? Everyone's had some of the pullers out there are kind of going, yeah, if it's, even Dave joked about himself, which I'm glad Dave does that, because if it was me, I could probably go like, what the fuck? Everybody's just like crapping on me. But even Dave goes, hey, well, if it's the best of 3, pencil me in for the victory. But Dave has to do something, because you can't go up 2-0 and all of a sudden just lose the next 3, right?
I think what we're considering here is that, I think Dave is going to lose his hand and wrist a little bit, but his arm is going to keep him in that match.
He's got to keep that wrist flat, because we all know it's going to go to the strap.
Well, it's definitely going to go to the strap. I think Dave does pull out this win, though.
Yeah, and I hope he doesn't gas out. If Dave dominates the first 2, but if you notice, though, match 2 of the last couple of matches, they weren't as dominant. He got the win, but they weren't as dominant.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
And then we see a guy that's only pulled a couple tournaments lately. Mm-hmm. And if I'm being fully transparent here, Laletin looks a lot thicker than he was when we saw him in super matches a couple years ago. There might be some stamina stuff that goes on with him too.
Interesting point. Jay Clean, that is probably one of the most interesting points out there. He says when Dave pulls top rollers, he seems to feast on them. But in hooks, he seems to struggle. Well, and everybody, you could talk to John Brezink, Devin, they've all commented, Dave doesn't have the most technical style in this sport. When it comes to top rollers, because of his style, if you can call it that, it's just, I'm going to go this way, I'm going sideways, where it catches people like that. When someone goes into a hook, then Dave struggles. Now, he could muster out a win with his strength, but how much does that take away from his power when he has to sit there and drag all this power aside,
That's a good observation.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Answer me this, Ryan. Anytime, and you've been in super matches, I've been in super matches, and it's always who can make the adjustment. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. Unless you're the guy losing and the other guy just stays in his lane and you just cannot adjust around what he's doing to you.
Well, I mean, okay, so let's all right. Morozov, Dave looked at dominant, like, wow, I mean, Dave's going to take it, take it. He's going to take it to him. Finally, Morozov makes the adjustment, and Dave was like, okay, I can't figure it out. Even Chanshaw was in his corner saying, hey, you got to do this, rubbing his arm, dude, do this, do that. Okay. Gennady, same thing. Dominated him. Gennady was losing his mind in between matches, off to the center and stuff, but he made the adjustment. So I'll be kind of curious who's going to be in Dave Chafee's corner.
Well, you know what? The thing is, though, if you're not coaching that guy all the time and you don't know exactly what he has the ability to do, sometimes the right advice is bad advice.
Okay.
Because if you tell somebody, like you tell a guy that never top rolls, you got a top roll, I mean, that's not going to do anything. It's something sometimes like I remember Matt Mask yelling some advice to me during one of my super matches, and he was telling me to do something that I never do.
Right.
I just didn't have the ability to pull it off. And then I had another puller who I won't name because I've decided I'm not saying his name anymore. Asked him for some advice, and he said, well, I don't know. I'm not you. And I thought that was some of the best advice that I could get because he doesn't know where I'm strong, what I've done, what I've trained. And there's too many guys that are willing to be armchair quarterback and jump out of a crowd and tell someone they should do something that they just cannot do. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I see both sides of it, though, because let's just say you and I are at an event and I'm, in a match with somebody and you're in my corner. It depends on how you approach me. It's one thing because, the armchair quarterback where, oh, you should do this. And like, dude, I'm not even comfortable doing that. Whereas you approach me and say, hey, what do you see? What do you feel? This is what I see. How do you feel? Can you do that? There's a difference because, you don't know me. I mean, it's like, and I don't know you as far as styles and how you train and what you're strong and where you're weak at. To sit there and tell me, oh, yeah, go ahead and do that. Anybody can sit there on TV and see that and say that. But at the same time, again, how do you feel? I mean, when I come back and I'm getting a rub down, you're probably going, well, how do you feel? How does this look? Because this is what I saw. Can you do this? Are you able to do that? That was where it counts because no, I can do this. All I can do is that. Okay, maybe try this. I mean, that's just me though.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, if you're in desperation mode, there's certainly some things that you need to do. And some guys, it's a flop wrist, whatever, something they don't normally do. Dan Woodley has an interesting question, though.
Yes.
But what does a win do? Like we kind of touched on this. What does a win do for either Vitaly or Dave? I think it's probably more important for Vitaly to get this win right now.
Well, you know what, Dan? It does a lot because Dave has lost his last two matches. And if he loses this one, I don't want to write him off, but damn, I mean,
there will always be a competitive match out there for Dave Chafee based on his style. And there's a dozen Europeans you could put against him. Vitaly comes over in his first super match in a long time, and he gets, handily beaten by Dave Chafee. What do you do with that guy? I mean, there's an interesting match there. If he loses, maybe Kurdecha would be a fun match.
He just goes down the ladder like everybody else does, you know?
Or do you forget about him for a while? Because it depends on how he loses, I guess. Because they have, in this sport, we have a tendency to do that. When somebody gets destroyed, they seem to be, put back a little bit.
Let me rephrase that question, Dan, and then I want Dan and I want Ryan to answer this for me. So your question was, what does a win do for either? Okay. Didn't we all say this about Jerry? What does a win do for Jerry? And what happened? Shot him up. Boom. Inking got us one. You're the number one guy right now, or the number two guy, or whatever.
I don't think either one of these guys become that guy with a win. I think it moves them a couple notches closer, but there's still half a dozen guys in between them and let's say the Hermes and Jerry situation.
But the thing is, though, is that, and I'm not cracking on Jerry, but because he did win this match, look how much it catapulted him up, and Jerry hadn't pulled in like 2.5 years at that point.
I think some of that was like the perfect storm too, though, because everyone expected Gennady to win that match. And Gennady looked so powerful recently. Mm-hmm. And with Jerry coming in and pulling that off, that was an amazing performance. And with Jerry kind of not being around, we all kind of forgot him. And he made it so that was no longer possible.
So is Vitaly kind of the same? Because here's a question right there. Like Jay Clean said, when was the last super match Vitaly had? I can't fucking remember, honestly. I really can't remember. Not off the top of my head anyway.
Jay, if Dave pulled Jerry, who wins? That's a good question. Styles make matches.
Dave has always been a thorn in Jerry's side.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's always it's the, like you said, man, when it comes to this, this ain't a hook, and Dave has gotten a hold of that and kind of sat there and went this way, had enough power to beat him. If we're talking Dave Chafe of UAWL, before they went to the Super Match Series, they always pulled each other in these wall regionals, and Dave always won.
Yeah.
Always won when it mattered.
So, Jody, we got to move on because we don't have much time left before I got to go do a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
But I want to talk to you about something that recently happened.
Yes.
We saw Robbie Topi pull Austin. How do you say his last name?
Jaggers.
Last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Austin beat Robbie. I believe it was 3-0.
Correct.
What you don't know is in the aftermath of that match, Jeff Frank got a message from Robbie canceling our super match at the end of November.
Why?
Well, Robbie is extremely light. He's talking about the challenge he's faced, but he also just said, like, he at the weight that he's at and not being willing to go into like a big super heavyweight situation, he is going to respectfully withdraw, and he is going to evaluate his future in the sport. He paid me respect in the message, and I will not disrespect that man at all, but he is out of the match, and Jeff is currently seeking a replacement for him.
Well, I don't know if you knew, but I was talking to him, and I was like, hey, man, good luck on your match coming up against Austin. He goes, yeah, I'm down to 240.
Yeah.
And he sent me a photo. I was like, damn, you look lean. I was like, man, you look badass. And then the first thing that crossed my mind was like, why in the hell did you not go to 240 when I pulled you back in June? Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Would I had a better chance? Maybe, possibly. But I tell you what, Robbie Topi is a different person at 240 pounds when Austin pulled him than at 265 pounds when I pulled him.
Well, you know what's probably happening now, though, and this is not confirmed, but it sounds like Austin might be the guy that I pull at the end of November.
Hey, that makes sense.
So, I mean, if I can't get the guy, I can get the guy that beat the guy.
Opportunity knocks.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Jeff is in the process of, he will be in the process of talking to Austin. I've already talked to Austin. Sounds like he wants the match. He thinks he's got something for me. We'll see.
Yes, Jay Clean. Topi's around 265, 270 normally, but he cut down. Not sure why, but yeah, he cut down. I mean, I know he was going to earlier in the calendar year, like around January, I heard from his team, and he was cutting down. I'm thinking, I might have a slight chance. And you got to remember, by that time, he was pulling Michael Todd. He was pulling Paul Passmore. I'm like, okay, here we go. Then there's no fucking way he's going to be, pulling me. at that weight. So 265 walks in Robbie Topi, and I lost 3-0. End of story.
Billy, I won't be at that event because I'm flying back from Vegas that day. So I'll be out there for an EXP event, and then I'm going to actually train with the guys in Vegas while I'm out there.
Ooh, Brandon Allen?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's going to put something together, and that should be interesting.
Yes. Power versus power.
Who knows who's going to show up?
Oh.
Maybe Spotto will be there.
Has it been announced?
That I'm going out there?
Yeah. To train with those guys?
Well, Brandon Allen has said he's going to put it together. I have no idea what that means.
Right.
We kind of picked a day, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
Whoever shows up. It'll be fun.
I like it.
Yeah. Jody, I appreciate you, but I got to cut this one short, and lots of meat on the bone for next week. We're going to need to talk about this whole King of the Table situation that unfolds on Saturday. And I will be at my cabin, and I'm going to have to convince my wife that we're going to watch TV instead of doing stuff outside.
Not only that, but IFA Worlds too. Don't forget that.
IFA Worlds, yeah. We'll have the results by next week. So let's plan on the full hour for next week, my friend.
I will have my Thanos mug, my new Thanos coffee mug ready.
Very nice. Yeah, and I did notice that. Be careful if you're snapping your fingers while you're holding it.
Yes, I know. Everybody, thanks for joining us. I know it was quick, but my man has some stuff to do. But hey, trust me when I say that Ryan and myself will have a lot more to talk about next Monday.
We shall.
All right, my friend.
Until then, everybody.
Take care.